the depths of night, I rise and I fight with the strength of the Lord. I'm ready to ignite. The world's full of trials, but I won't back down. With faith as my armor, I claim this crown. Stand tall, stay
awesome.
For His light will unfold.
Have some trouble again.
God's prepared warrior, I'm standing my ground. It is my fortress, my strength will be found. Stay vigilant, stay prepared, that's how I roll. With faith as my guide, I'll conquer it all. Melodic interlude. Every step that I take, I'm guided. I'm blessed, prepared for the battle. I'm ready for it. I'll soar, I'll fly. Stay vigilant, stay true. His power shines through.
All right, welcome everybody to God's Prepared Warrior Roundtable Live. I hope that you guys are doing well today on this Monday. I want to welcome all of you guys over here on TikTok. Thank you guys for joining me, and I hope that you guys stay. I see a lot of you coming in. Keep hitting the screen, giving us those hearts, and thank you for that ahead of time. So thank you for joining us on TikTok. I want to welcome all of you who are joining us on Facebook. We are on our God's Prepared Warrior Facebook page. We're live there. And we are live on YouTube, which is our main community. And I'm getting 5x5s. Thank the Lord for that. Last week we had some terrible trouble. So I am glad that we are running and gunning today. So let's see who's over here on YouTube. Salt Mist is here. She is my moderator for the YouTube channel. Thank you, Salt Mist. Let's see who else is in here. I see Ohio Valley Prepping. Awesome, my friend. Thank you for joining us tonight. Let's see. All right. Honoring. Welcome to the live stream tonight, guys. We actually have a really good talk for tonight on the second half of our live tonight. Welcome to the channel. My name's Fernando. If you're new, I am God's Prepared Warrior, and I have been called by God to help prepare you to be God's Prepared Warriors. And we are a prepping channel. And we don't just talk about prepping, or we do probably talk about doom and gloom a little bit, but that's not what we're guided by. We are guided by faith, and we're not guided by fear. And so we talk, not just the practical side of prepping on this channel, but we also talk about faith and the spiritual side of prepping and how they go hand in hand together. So guys, thank you for joining me over here on YouTube, and on Facebook. I am so glad that you guys are here with us tonight. We're going to go into channel news. If you're new, I always share how the channel is doing, because I'm going to be honest, the channel the channel growth has nothing to do with me, but it has everything to do with you. I'm just the person here that has been given a word from the Lord, and I want to share that with you guys. And so that's what I've been doing, is sharing the channel news. And it encourages me to keep going. You might think, well, what if nobody subscribes to your channel? I truly believe that that God has even a plan for that. So, but we're not in that spot. We're actually doing really well, and I'm thankful for the Lord because He's the one doing it, and He's using all of you guys to help grow our channel, and so I'm excited. So let's look at the channel news for today. I need to give me some. Need to find me some channel news intro music, right? So on YouTube, we are for this week, we are up 7 new subscribers. Thank you guys for joining us. We are now at 684 subscribers on our channel, and here recently we were somewhere around 4 or 5, and so we've kind of shot up. So thank you guys for joining the channel. Over on TikTok, TikTok is my biggest audience. Thank you guys for being here today and liking the channel over there. TikTok, we're sitting at 3,375 total subscribers there. We are up 24 subscribers this week, which is really, really awesome. Facebook, it's a slow climb for our Facebook page. And so we're sitting at 156, and we had 1 person join this week on Facebook. So that's pretty awesome. Our Facebook community page is at 19 and still there. So I have a Facebook group community page, and if you actually want to be part of God's Prepared Warrior community where you live, I would encourage you to join that group because I'm going to show you how to do that. And hopefully one day the goal is for me to visit all of the groups that have connected with us. And so, I don't want to just sit behind a camera and talk to you. I want to be with you guys. So, yeah. So if you want to be, if you want to get closer, I don't know if that's a correct word to use, but closer, you can join the Facebook God's Prepared Warrior Facebook group community. So when you look it up, it's God's Prepared Warrior community in the group section. So join that page, and that's where you're going to get a whole lot of even more stuff. So make sure you go there and like and subscribe there. Go to the Facebook page, God's Prepared Warrior Facebook page, like there. I'm also in Instagram. I'm also on Rumble, and I'm also on YouTube for all of you on TikTok world and Facebook world. You can join the community over here on YouTube that is growing. So thank you guys for that. Let's see, X. I was sharing with Salt Mist earlier. We've been the community in X has been kind of like at a standstill for the longest time in the 900s. So we like hit the 900s, and I feel like it's been like years. It hasn't, but I feel like it's been years that we've been stuck in the 900s on X. And so over on X, I'm in another community over there myself, and actually I'm going to be talking about that community soon and seeing if you guys would like to join that community. But anyway, so on X, I do a different kind of warning that I do on TikTok. And so I actually pinpoint locations and say, Austin, Texas, pay attention. This is coming to your area. And then I'll put the link. So that's what I do over there. So it's even deeper dive into things that are happening. Where over in TikTok you hear this loud siren sound, and it's this notification that Fernando has found on the internet. Read this because it's important, right? So over on X, we've been in the 900s for the longest time. So today I opened to see how many have subscribed or started following us there, and we are sitting today at 999 people over on X. So if you are in X and you would like to join our community on X, somebody go over there and break us into the 1,000, please. We're only 1 subscriber away just to break 1,000. So, that would make my day. So that's where we are on X. On Instagram, we're sitting at 480 subscribers there. We actually went up a little bit. I didn't grab that number though, but we went up since last time. Instagram, yeah, because we were at 51. So yeah, we shot up about 30 more subscribers over on Instagram. That's awesome. So that's the channel news. And guys, that's you guys, y'all are doing that. I am just here to share information with you. And you guys love the information. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for you guys. And I'm thankful for that. The Lord just, him and I have conversations, and all the content I create is because of the conversations I have with the Lord, from things that I see, things that I'm vigilant to. And, the Lord's like, yeah, you should talk about that. So yeah. So guys, thank you for joining all of our social media. The next thing that we do, if you're new, is we go into the news, right? So I want to talk about some things that maybe you haven't heard of. And I say that because the people that I talk to around me, I'll tell them, hey, did you hear about this thing? And they're like, no. And I, my motto is stay vigilant, stay prepared. Uh, you know, I think the more that I talk to people, the less that I hear that they are actually paying attention to what's going on. And so I like to share with you some things that are happening in our world that I think are important, and how we should actually respond to them, or not, right? So I'm pretty sure most of you heard about the attack in Colorado over the weekend. There was a deranged man who decided to create a flamethrower and burn people up, and he had Molotov cocktails on him as well, and was throwing them at people. And so, out of all of this that happened there in, I think it was Boulder, Colorado, there was 12 victims that were hurt in that incident. All of them are doing okay. None of them passed away. Praise the Lord. Um, but they are doing okay and are in hospital care. So let's pray for those victims. Let's pray for them, that God would just begin to do a healing work in their life. And this guy, well, what actually happened? They were actually having a pro-Israel demonstration, and so I guess he got wind of that. He heard about it, and he decided to do things that he shouldn't do. And so he went over there, did that, and then began to scream that he was on the Palestinian side. So this individual will be charged with federal hate crimes, which carry a sentence of 10 years. Hold on, don't get mad yet. That holds a sentence of 10 years. He will also be tried for attempted murder in 16 counts. So he will be tried for that, and all of that is going to be in the first degree, and numerous other accounts that are going to be brought onto him. And with all of that, if convicted, right? Because we're innocent until we're proven guilty. If convicted, which I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a conviction out of this, he would be, or that all that would be a total of 384 years in state prison. That sounds pretty good to me. I will sign off on that. Let's sign off on that. But let's keep these victims in prayer from this heinous crime, and let's pray for this poor soul that he find God. So that was happening in the news. Another thing I wanted to share with you, I want to talk about weather-related things today. So I did a look, and I would encourage you to kind of be be thinking about when it comes to weather, right? I want all of you to be ahead of the game. So, for example, I'm going to use myself as an example. I ride a motorcycle, and anytime we have sunny days, right? I'll get my phone and I have several apps. I have an app from a YouTuber weather guy that I follow on YouTube for Texas. And then I have, of course, your other apps that you can get for national weather. And then I also have NOAA weather um, on my GMRS radio. So I have all of these views of weather in front of me, and I always look to those to see if I'm going to ride in good weather or not, because I am not going to ride if it's going to rain, because I totally do not trust the people where I live, because there's always accidents, and I'm on a major highway, and I travel out of town to go to work, so I am not going to put myself in that danger. I am going to be safe, and I'm going to utilize these tools to plan my route, right? Because I always talk about planning. You can probably hear that word in every video that I do. So I tell you all of that because in Canada, this is another thing in the news. In Canada, um, there's wildfires over there, and it has triggered air quality alerts across the United States here. And so I don't know if you're aware of that. So if you guys are in the northern part of the United States, this is affecting you guys. And so um, somebody, I think it was either Salt Mist or it was somebody else that said this week in the chat, or yeah, it was in the chat or the comments. They were talking about all the wildfires, and so I was looking into that, and there is an actual link that you can look at, and it is called AmericanForest.org, and it will give you a map of all of the current wildfires in the United States, and it has it legend out to kind of light or moderate all the way to severe and bad, right? And it's color coded, which kind of doesn't help me because I'm colorblind. But with some help, I can see that. So it gives you that map of where all of the wildfires are. So currently, here in the United States, we have 263 current wildfires in the U.S. And when it comes to how much acreage we're losing because of that fire, we're sitting right now at 104.3K acres of acres that are burned. So check out AmericanForest.org. That's a good place to go to kind of get that information. And it can also show where you are, where these kind of spots are. So over in Canada, they have about 180 fires over there that are actively burning out of control right now. So they don't have a handle on them. And so that's why we're getting a lot of bad air coming our way because of all of that smoke. So over the weekend, it was kind of hazy, and it could be seen from Minneapolis all the way to Duluth in Minnesota. So the air quality alerts were issued for all of Minnesota. So just depending on where the wind blows, right? Um, how that's going to affect you. So I think our topic for tonight is going to be good because we are experiencing all of these things. Hey, Shelly, I think it was Shelly that was telling me that in the comments today, this week about wildfires. So, I decided to look that up. So, go to AmericanForest.org and you can see a map of all of the current fires that we have here in the United States. And it'll give you, that, from it's okay to it's not okay, right? So make sure you check out that website. I thought it was pretty helpful when I saw that in my comments. So yeah, so because of that, our topic tonight, um, I want to get into that because I really want us to, because we're also now moving into a new season. Um, let's see. Shelly says in Mantioba, I think I'm saying that right. I could be wrong. She says 92 to 96 fires are human caused. They reported um, many as arson. Yes, and so yeah, I mean, we have to be really, really careful, and I would encourage you guys to be seekers of information, because we need to be, we need to really be prepared when it comes to weather related topics, right? And so that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about that tonight. um, I want to talk about staying ready, right? Fire, storms, heat, and violence, right? How do we prepare now? So I hope you're taking notes today because I have a lot of neat things to share with you tonight. Tonight I want to talk about these major um, threats, these four major threats that are active right now in the United States. And I want you to be aware of them, right? You're always going to hear from me. Stay vigilant, stay prepared, right? Because that's what we have to do. We live in a time where violence erupts, right? Just the example of what happened this weekend, right? Violence erupts, and if you're in the middle of that violence, are you ready? I'm not telling you to be ready out of fear. I'm telling you to be ready out of faith, because we know that preparedness and faith go together, and we don't prepare out of fear, we prepare out of faith. And it is our faith that, because remember, God doesn't give us a spirit of fear. He gives us love, power, and a sound mind, according to 2 Timothy 1:7. And out of those three things, we know, right? Because love, and we have power, and we have a sound mind, right? We know that it is important for us to build a structure for our preparedness, right? We know that we have to gather food and water and all that kind of stuff, and we have to get our go bags ready, and we have to prepare for that. We know that we have to do those things in the physical, but we also need to prepare our hearts in the spiritual, right? So tonight I want to talk about, I am going to talk spiritual, but I really want to hit on the physical tonight. Last week we talked a lot about the spiritual. Today I want to talk about the physical. So tonight we're talking about these four major threats: the wildfires that are burning across the U.S., right, and Canada, right. Just like I just reported to you, we are now, as we're day 2 in hurricane season, right. We were in thunderstorm season. All of that comes with that, right? Flooding, hail, lightning strikes, all of that. And we experienced all of that in that season. And there were many reports of towns and cities that were flooded. And there were reports, and even Fernando being caught on his way home from work in the middle of a hailstorm in the little Honda, and it sounding like I was in a war zone in my little Honda. And so yeah, so we've now just left that season, and now we're in hurricane season. But remember, hurricanes will bring those storms back. So it's kind of like, we're leaving one, but it kind of remains, because it all works together in that way, right? Just that, hurricanes come from the ocean, and then they kick everything up in our atmosphere, and then if you're inland like I am, you get all the rain. You don't get the devastation, you get all the rain. At least that's been our experience. North Carolina will say different because of what happened to them. So this is why I say stay vigilant, stay prepared, right? So we're going to look at that tonight. We're going to talk about this dangerous heat because I live in dangerous heat. And here, that's going to be hitting here in Texas and other parts of our country. And then we're going to talk about the violence that is happening in our world. And I really want to talk about violence that we may not see coming. So I want to talk about that. So let's go ahead and start that. And let's get into that. So let's look at the wildfires. So right now, there are active wildfires across the United States, and I told you, if you go to AmericanForest.org, you get a live interactive map there of all of the current wildfires and acreages that are being lost. Well, burned. They're not being lost; they're being burned. So look at that. Currently, we have 263 fires that are going on in the United States. There's a lot of little bitty stuff that's manageable, but these are things that are kind of you like in the red, or yeah, in the red, because there was no black, because the worst is black, right? So you know, we need to be vigilant about that. And it's good to have this information because you're able to see what's actually actively happening where you are. So, guys, thank you for joining us over here on TikTok. Thank you for being here, Rebecca and Joey. So, how do we plan for that, right? These wildfires. Have you ever experienced that where you are? Talk about that in the chat. Think about, have you been close to one? Have you heard of them? Have you smelt them, right? Because you may not, but you could smell them, right? Because the smoke and all that goes with the wind. Or have you really experienced that, right? So if you live near dry land, if you live near forest, if you live in the plains, you're probably going to see wildfires, and you need to have, here it is. What's the word? You need to have a plan, right? Uh, all you have to do is look at Los Angeles, right? Um, Most of those people did not have a plan, and they had to leave immediately in some cases, because these things took off, these wildfires took off, and they didn't stop. And so people lost their homes, people lost family, people lost pets. Why? Because they didn't have a plan. Oh, it's not going to happen here. You don't actually have to live by the forest or in the plains or near dry land. Your neighbor's house could catch on fire. And if the wind is pretty bad that day, and the wind is crossing to your house could be affected as well. And so you need to have a plan for that, right? Even those of us who are further away need to consider air quality, right? That's what all of the Minnesota people are going through over the weekend and probably today from Canada. Their air quality is bad, right? Even if you're further away, you still need to have you need to look at your evacuation plans. Now, if you live in a big city, in an urban city like I do, you can go to the website of the city, and there are actually evacuation plans that they say, get this, these are the roads that you will take to evacuate, which means for a prepper, these are roads that you want to avoid, and you want to get out a map, and you want to try to get away from those roads because they are going to be the most impacted. And if you live in a huge metropolitan area like I do, you really don't want to get stuck in that. So you're going to need those evacuation plans. And you need to consider the smoke hazards that will come up. So it's always good to monitor your local alerts, right? I use NOAA weather. You could use FEMA, but we know how they work. So that's why I use NOAA weather. It keeps me up to date daily and sometimes hourly. So depending on the weather, right? So make sure that you are monitoring those places. Have a good go bag, right? Have something that you have already collected to leave in a hurry, right? Always remember, you should have in a Ziploc bag in your bag copies of your important documents, right? In your home, if you have them in your home, I would encourage you to have a fireproof uh, box that you can store those things in. So, in the event of a fire, because we're talking about fire, you don't lose those documents. Now, a while back, I did a blog on fire, and in my blog, at the end, I usually have some things that I pick for affiliate links. So go check those out. There's are some really inexpensive boxes that I found that are really good and will protect your documents. So go check those out. Um, you can go to my blog for that. The link is in our description here on YouTube. If you're on TikTok, it's you got to go to my face page. I don't know what you call that, but yeah, go there, and my link is there. Um, make sure you have your go bag. Make sure that you clear space around your home, right? Uh, you know, I have in my backyard, I have a lot of hay that I use for my dogs, and I actually need to clean that up, and because that can catch fire, right? So you just want to make sure things are you know cleared away so that you don't lose those things, right? Take care of your stuff. That's what I always say. My wife always says, "Babe, take care of your stuff." Um, Protect the air quality, right? Make sure you have some N95 masks. Those masks were only created to filter air for smoke and if you're doing yard work. It was never for any kind of event that was wanting to be created in 2020. So yeah, so make sure you have those masks for smoke, right? They kind of help filter all that. Um, no multiple evacuation routes. This is important. Like I said, I live in a large metropolitan area, and it will be a nasty day if we have to evacuate the city. Fernando will not be on any of the highways getting out of Dodge. If if there's anything happening, poop hitting the fan, I'll be going through backyards. Thank you very much. So have multiple evacuation routes. Make sure you have that plan and share that with your family. And I would encourage you to practice that evacuation plan. If you're evacuating, and you have a plan, you're going to have a meetup point. You should practice with your preps, right? Don't wait for mandatory orders. I mean, look, I already told my wife if if Russia decides to go crazy, I ain't staying here because we are military city where I live. And if any other city um, closer to the East Coast goes first, Fernando's gonna leave, and you better be ready to leave all of Fernando's family because we're not staying here. So make sure that you don't wait for the mandatory orders. There are so many people when it comes to hurricanes. Oh my goodness, the hurricane's coming, and it's like huge. It's like bigger than Texas, right? And it's nasty. Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna just wait it out right here in my boat. Yeah, no, Fernando would not be waiting in a boat. No way, no way at all. So don't wait for mandatory orders. Have your plan ready, have your family ready, have your things ready, um, and evacuate early. That's so important. Evacuate early. Um, you know, um, I will always go to this verse, right? Proverbs 27:12 says, "The prudent see danger. The prudent see danger, and they take refuge." I want to be the prudent, right? But the simple keep going, and they suffer for it, right? I don't want to be the simple. I want to be the prudent. I want to be that one that's vigilant and that's prepared, not for everything, but for anything, right? That's so important. So I that's an important verse to keep that on your refrigerator, right? And recite it every time you see it. Recite it. Prudence see danger, but the simple keep going and they suffer for it, right? We don't want to suffer. I don't ever want to be without food because Fernando loves food. If you can't tell, and I don't ever want to be with water because you can't go along without it. So yeah, yeah, and so yeah, just be ready, right? Be prudent, right? Um, is there anyone near a wildfire zone right now? Comment that. Comment that in the comments. How are you prepping for that, right? Share with us in the comments. How are you prepping for that? Um, look what you guys are saying over here. Man, you guys are talking it up. Um, let's see. You guys are talking about the fire marshal. He came over and gave advice. Yeah. Talk to those people. They know about fires. That's a great thing. Talk to your fire marshal. We have a large fire break, but we worry about debris. Yes, debris fly, especially with the wind. That's how all of this kind of spreads, right? LA as an example. Salt Miss says, yes, have a plan. Yes, you have to have a plan. So important. All right, so let's move on to hurricanes. We are in hurricane season. It has officially started yesterday. It started yesterday, and this will go all the way through November. And if you didn't know that, I want to encourage you to really dig in about hurricanes. Of all of the storms that we can ever experience, I think the thing that blows my mind are hurricanes because they can be really huge and they can be really nasty. And then at the center of a hurricane, there's a thing called an eye, and there is peace and calm there. It is amazing. When you look at these on a map, they look enormous, immense, massive, powerful, right? I would encourage you, if you don't know a lot of things about hurricanes, research them because it is to me, it's interesting to know that. So yeah, so the season's started. So experts are predicting a more active season this year due to the warmer ocean temps. Probably because Texas is hot too. I'm just gonna throw that in there. Probably because I'll say it's Texas's fault. Um, so what is a preparation list for you when it comes to hurricane season? Before I go there, I want to remind you, I am really big on being prepared. I don't. It's not just a motto. I actually talk about it, and I actually do it. And so, if today is June 2nd, we're 2 days into a hurricane. Uh, you know, I don't think there's an active hurricane right now, but we're in the season. So if I live in if this was me, if I lived anywhere on the coastline, I before yesterday would have already had all of the wood that I would need cut out to the shape of my door, to the shape of my windows, and I would because I actually have this really cool idea about putting those boards up on the inside as well, right? You see a lot of the houses and businesses will have it on the outside. I think it's a great idea to have it on the inside too as well. And the really neat way you can do that is using PVC pipe. And all you have to do is cut it in half and heat it up a little bit to where you can make a flat on one of the ends, so that when you tack it to your window, you screw it into the 2x4, it has a flat, and then that curved part, you can slide your board in there that covers the window, and then you can also screw in the screws for that wood around the 2x4s. And so I saw that online one day, and I was like, wow, you can actually do that on the inside and do it in that way where you can slide in and out. Anyway, that's my prepper brain. But anyway, it if it were me, I would have already had all of that done prior to day one. Why? Because everyone, when the hurricane is said and it's coming, right? You're going to see waves, right? You're going to see when the news says there's a hurricane formed out way over there, right? And everybody's going to be like, oh, okay, we got time. And they procrastinate and they procrastinate. Life goes on and they forget. And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, it's it's coming closer to the coast. Oh, well, I still got time, you know. And then all of a sudden, when it's like really, really, really close, everybody makes the mad dash to Home Depot, Lowe's, all of those places. Then they make the mad dash to the grocery store and they empty out the grocery store. And now you got nothing because you waited till the end. I tell you that because I don't live on the coast. I live in the central part of Texas. And if we're affected by a hurricane, it's all the rain that comes with it, right? And even though we're not going to experience it like the coast will, right? People will raid the grocery store here where I live. I did videos back when was it two hurricane seasons ago. My friend and I went to go put gas in his car, and we went to the Costco, and we just, because the hurricane was coming it was going to hit Corpus. It was still not even in the Gulf yet, and so people were already scrambling to Costco, and I've never seen Costco so full of people. The whole parking lot, the regular parking lot where we have our Costco, it has a regular parking lot that's around the building, right? And then it has an overflow next to the gas station. And so the whole parking lot all around the Costco was full. The overflow was full. And then there were lines of people getting the gas. So Costco was being raided and everybody was in line for gas. And it took more than an hour to get gas. When we went to our local grocery store, bought out. Nothing in the store. People wait till the last minute. So prepare. Stay vigilant. Stay prepared. It's so important, guys. I can't say that enough, right? So what should you prepare, right? You should have emergency food. You should, before I go on to another thing, let me just stay here because I just thought about something. You should have emergency food. You should have emergency water, at least, at minimum, for 3 to 7 days. I would even say maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I would even plan for a month. I would even plan for 3 months. Why? Because if you go back in history and you look at all of the hurricanes past, look at all of the damage that they have done, and then look at all of the days that people were without electricity. And they thought, it's just going to bring us rain. And it wiped out most of North Carolina. And so, and some of those people were ready, but they weren't ready for the flooding. They weren't ready for the mudslides, all that stuff, right? So have that prepared, right? You need to have backup power. I can't say that enough. You need to have backup power. You need to have your batteries for your flashlights. You need to Have your a solar generator for those things that you charge up, right? The flashlights that you charge, your cell phones, all that stuff, right? You need to have solar chargers. I have all of those things, and people think it's overkill. No, it is not. When it comes to an emergency, it is not ever overkill, right? One is none, and two is one. That is the thought. And we need to have backups for our backups, right? It's so important to have those things, right? You need to have your fuel topped off in your vehicle. I can I I can't even fathom with our prices today what it is to run your vehicle all the way to empty and then fill that dude back up to full. If you have a truck or an SUV that has a huge tank, you're going to be paying buku money. Fernando's not going to do that. Fernando's going to wait till it gets to half a tank, and then he's going to go in, and half a tank to Fernando means that I'm on the E. So that way, just like the other day when there was construction and an accident on the highway, and it took me an hour and a half to get to work, my tank was full. And there were cars that were pulling over on the side. Why? Because they didn't have a full tank. And we were there for a long time in dead stop traffic. So practice what I call half tank. I don't know if there's another word for that. Tell me in the comments, because I call it half tank. When when I say that, people are like, "What do you mean you're running around with a half tank?" So they kind of get confused. So keep your fuel topped off, right, for your cars, and your gas cans, right? I mean, have that stuff ready. Rotate it. Don't just let it sit there because it'll go bad. So have that ready. Your important documents. I was talking about that earlier, right? Keep your important documents stored in weatherproof containers. Communicate the evacuation plan with your family. That evacuation plan you create using a map. Yes, maps still exist. Go get you a topo map, and learn how to use that thing. It's going to give you elevation. It's going to give you all that a flat map won't give you. But start with a flat map. Create a plan, an evacuation plan for you and your family, and I would hand that out, and that should be, and because I'm Fernando, not only would I have it in the glove compartment of my vehicle, but I'm also going to have it in my get home bag. It's also going to be, in other places. If I'm on my motorcycle, there's going to be one in there. If I'm in my SUV, it's going to be in there. If we're in the truck, it's going to be in the truck. If I'm in my little Honda that doesn't work right now, it's going to be in there. So make sure you don't have it just in one place, because whatever event that happens, you might not be in that vehicle, right? So think in that way. Communicate that evacuation plan with your family. Sit down, have a family meeting, have a meal together, and talk about that map. Look, if poop hits the fan, even if they agree with you or not, even if they're prepping with you or not, look, I just want you to have this, put it in your glove compartment, keep it there. In the event you need it, it's there, right? And then explain to them what the points are, right? You should have A, B, C, D, evacuation plan. Sometimes A may not work. You might have to revert to B, and so on, right? If you want the whole alphabet, go for it. But have an evacuation plan ready and go over it. Practice with your preps, right? Talk to the heads and say, and with me, it would be all my sons and all my son-in-laws, and I would say, hey, this day we're going to have an emergency evacuation, and the information that I've given to you, we're going to that point at this time, right? When that sets your alarms, when that alarm goes off, poop has hit the fan, and you get out of Dodge, right? You're not going to have the experience of a poop hitting the fan event, but you will be able to see in normal conditions how long that takes. And I can even imagine once you get that time, you will have to subtract or you will actually have to add time, forgive me, add time to when poop hits the fan, and kind of gives you an idea of, yeah, this plan thing is important, right? So practice that with your family. Strengthen your home, right? Talked about boarding your windows and your doors. Secure those items, right? If you got stuff that will fly away in your backyard, you got a trampoline. You know how many times I've seen trampolines fly in just what we call a dirt devil here. It just picks it up and throws it, maybe a couple of yards. Um, can you imagine a hurricane? Can you imagine a tornado? Flip that dude upside down, throw stuff on it, right? So it doesn't fly anywhere and hurt somebody. Strengthen your home. And then stay tuned to your NOAA weather. Stay tuned to your local weather alerts. If I'm going to listen to my local news, it's going to be the weather because, sometimes they get that wrong too. But, I'm going to at least get the idea, right? I'm going to match it to NOAA, and I'm going to be ready for that. So that's how I would prepare for hurricane season. If you're in a hurricane area, share in the comments, because you're going to be the one that helps this community out really well, because you have experience. I really don't. I live inland, so I can tell you all about flooding, right? Can you give me, let's see, and Allie, I am reading what you are saying here. I'm thinking you're asking me to pray for you and your ex who broke up. Yes, Allie, I'm writing that down. So will my team. We will definitely be in prayer for you. Thank you. Thank you for joining the live tonight. So that's, leave in the comments what your experience is with hurricanes. Here's the next one, heat wave. This is really simple. If you live in heat wave areas like I do in Texas, this Texas heat is like no joke. Sometimes we have triple digit temps, and it's so humid here that you walk outside and you just automatically start sweating. So heat can be really dangerous, um, just as any disaster, right? And it is also a silent killer. So here are some tips for being safe in extreme heat. I know some of y'all are right now. I just talked to Salt Mist today, and she's like, we're still in the cold. I can't even imagine that right now, but you guys are a lot further up north than I am, and so you know, I'm jealous. I'm just gonna say that. So how do you stay safe in that? Well, number one, stay hydrated. You should be drinking plenty of water every day. And if you don't like water, I'm not gonna name anybody. If you don't like water, you need to just drink water because you need water. Your body needs water. If you have cramps, it's because your body is telling you, hey, I need water. I need to be hydrated. Drink water regularly. That's a tongue twister for me. Limit outdoor activity. You don't want to go mow the yard in the middle of the heat of the day, because you will be affected by that heat. I will tell you, that happened to me this weekend. It was really hot over here, and Fernando has to do the yard, because if not, it doesn't look right. And so, yeah, I was drinking water left and right while I was outside. I was staying overly hydrated, so I was okay. Limit your outdoor activity, to mornings and evenings. Don't be out there in the middle of the heat. Use fans, right? Use fans and ventilation. Open windows, right? Keep your blinds closed during the day so that the heat stays outside. It doesn't come inside, right? A lot of people here in Texas put foil on their windows to just kind of reflect that heat. So that's what we do. Watch out for signs of heat stroke, right? Nausea, confusion, rapid heartbeat. This is a silent killer, right? Check on your elderly, check on your pets. My wife is really good at taking care of our pets in bad weather. Um, and so she does really good at that. So just be safe out there. Check on your elderly, check on pets, check on your neighbors. Be a good neighbor. Not State Farm, but be a good neighbor and check on your neighbors whenever we are in inclement weather. That is just the neighborly thing to do, and it helps you build a relationship with them. You should have backup preps, portable fans, cooling towels. Those cooling towels work out great. Make sure you have some of those. Solar chargers are important, right? Because we can also have um, rolling blackouts because of the heat. Sometimes the grid will overheat and shut down. So make sure you have those things available to charge your charge your fans, charge your devices and all of that good stuff, right? Keep ice packs, and also keep electrolyte drinks. I have electrolyte drinks, and every once in a while I hit one of those, and so that I have all of my electrolytes. So it's good to drink water, but it's also good to have electrolytes in your system, and you need that too, right? Um, Revelation 7:16 says the sun will not strike them, nor any scorching heat. Um, I was telling my friend today, I was like, I have a problem with that scripture. But it's true, right? I mean, if we're vigilant and we're prepared, we won't be in the middle of that mess, right? A promise, but also a reminder that God cares for us, even in harsh decisions or in harsh conditions. Now, here's the last thing. I want to talk about all this violence that's happening in our world. I'm about to finish. We need to stay spiritually and physically vigilant when it comes to that, right? Over the weekend, as I talked earlier during the news segment, multiple violent acts occurred. We had shootings, we had riots and unrest. We had a guy that was catching people on fire. And this is a reminder that we must be alert. We must be alert. Warriors, now more than ever, we have to be alert. We need to be discerning to what is happening in our world. I talk a lot about situational awareness on my channel. I also made videos about situational awareness just on a random time and during situational awareness during Christmas and Thanksgiving. So go check those videos out. They're there in the list. So we need to be situationally aware. We need to, whenever we're getting off our car, we're going to the mall, we're going to the supermarket, or we're going to, maybe we're going to church, maybe we're going to the grocery store, the bank, wherever. We need to be aware. We need to make sure that we're paying attention, that we're not on our phone, we're not doom scrolling while we're walking to the store, right? We need to stay off that just for that moment. We need to avoid large crowds, right? And emotionally charged environments, right? If you follow me on X, um, I have sneaked into some spaces on Discord where they are gathering to have these stop the traffic events, right? And so on my X page, I will throw that link up there and say, Austin, Texas, exclamation mark. Pay attention. This is coming to your area. Stay vigilant, stay prepared. That's what I say all the time. I'm voice texting it. That's why I added all the commas and stuff. So I post that out on X, and I always post what I see and say, this is coming to your area. Why? Because I'm vigilant, right? And I want you to be the same way. I don't want your vigilance though to consume your life. It shouldn't consume your life. Avoid large crowds and emotionally charged environments like those that I spoke of, right? Avoid it at all costs. Um, it's almost to the point where we actually need to avoid certain things that happen in our area, right? Like one of the biggest things that happens in our city, we have this large day where everybody goes to party, and they tie in the parade, they tie in all those things, but it's really a time to go party and lose yourself. And so I stay away from that stuff. I would love to go because I grew up in a small town and we had parades, and it was so much fun going with my parents and my grandparents to those things. And it was fun time. We live in different times now. We have to be careful, right? So I avoid those things. You need to have a communications plan. I have several videos on my communication plan. Go check those videos out. You should have a walkie-talkie. And I will tell you, you don't need anything expensive because I have the cheapest Baofeng radio and I gather a lot of information on that radio. I have upgraded and gotten my license for my GMRS radio, and I'm studying for my ham license. So don't just stop at the one small radio. Continue to grow and learn. That's what I would tell you. Get that license, to get on ham radio. In the event of emergency, you don't need it, but you don't want to wait for an emergency, right? Get used to using that equipment when you don't need to. That way you have all the time in the world to use it and learn it. If you want to carry a handgun, here in Texas, we can actually get a license to carry, and you can constitutional carry. You don't need a license, but there's certain restrictions on that. So I would encourage you to get a license, go through that, get insurance, all that stuff. Because in the event that you need to use that, you will need that. Train in self-defense, right? De-escalation, train in that. Know how to defend yourself. Don't be somebody that's just going to stand there and not do anything. Learn to protect yourself and your family. And then equip yourself mentally and spiritually. Don't freeze in fear, because we don't do that. We do everything in faith, right? You should pray every morning before leaving the house. That's what I do. You should armor up. Look into Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10 through 18. That's the series we're going through in our church. And it's all about putting on God's armor. You need to learn discernment, right? Ask God for that gift, right? To give you the eyes to see and the ears to hear. So I'm going to end with this verse. 1 Peter 5:8 says, be alert. What does first Fernando say? Fernando says, stay vigilant, right? The Bible says in 1 Peter 5:8, be alert, of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. What does violence look for? What does violence look for? It looks for someone to devour. We have to be vigilant, guys, to the things happening around us. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining the live tonight. Salt Mist, you did an awesome job in our chat. I'm going to be excited to go back and read all of that. So, guys, thank you for joining us tonight. I look forward to seeing you in our next live next Monday at 9 p.m. Central right here on YouTube, Facebook, and on TikTok. And thank you guys for joining us. Look to our videos on YouTube so that you can stay up to date and follow all our social media, because there's just so much happening, right? I can't put it all in one place. So stay connected to all of our social media. Guys, thank you for joining us tonight. Have a blessed evening. You're welcome. You're welcome. Have a blessed evening. God's Prepared Warrior out. Until next time.